I had a questions for you guys, but I hope it's not too personal.
With you, it's always first. I love your questions. Let's go for it.
I was talking to a teacher downstairs, and we were talking about Rav Ashlag when in the Wisdom of Truth, it says that there were people that were talking and teaching spiritual things, but they really weren't qualified even to do so, and that was really bad. So he decided that that he was going to say the truth. But he said also you needed this divine permission to do that. And I was wondering, how do you get this divine, permission? And if you guys can share how you got your divine calling to share the wisdoms.
When we were in London, I was I think it was one of the teachers was sharing with me that he was sitting there with the student, and it was my mother, a student, and his teacher. And the student was going on and how great his teacher was. And my mother quoted, there's a very famous section in the Zohar from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He says that if you truly desire wisdom, even if you study from an unqualified teacher, you will get wisdom. So the teacher telling me the story was like, I'm not sure exactly what Karen with my mother was saying with that story, but the Zohar, interestingly, what the Zohar is actually saying with that is that if the receiver, the student's desire is pure, then it almost doesn't even matter who they're receiving the wisdom from. They'll be receiving it in a pure way, number one. And number two, which is an important question, that what's called divine permission, that's an internal experience, which means when you shut out all the other external voices, call it the ego, call it the unimportant things, and your soul tells you you should be assisting people in whatever way, sharing wisdom, assisting in other ways, then you can tell, I think, as we said before, whether it's coming from the true part of yourself. And when they talk about receiving divine permission, it means that when you are alone with yourself and in truth, you can actually feel that this is the right thing for you to do. Then that is what we call divine permission. What I would say in addition to that, and I often share this personally, that often when I think some of you might know, by nature, although not now, some people get confused about that. By nature, I'm an introvert. I do not desire to speak. I did not by nature desire to speak in public and things like that. But knowing that going against your nature is often one of the ways to know that you're in the right direction in life. So I think there are some people, I always marvel at these people who just love opining, right? You know those people, right? Who love having a room in front of them and people listening to whatever they have to say. I always marvel at people like that, and they can go on and on and on and on. Whereas for me, it's often like, okay, I'll say what I think is important, I'll stop, and but the point is, often if it's also going against your nature, that's also another indication of that, we would call that divine permission.
Right, because then it's not rooted in ego.
Yeah.
I would only add, I think it's a feeling that it's your oxygen. It's something that you couldn't really live without doing and imparting the wisdom and offering. So even if it doesn't make sense, or even if you're not the most qualified, the desire, it's such an innate part of you. It's like, denying your arm that it didn't exist. It's that level of desire and feeling and sense of purpose that I think gives you the permission.
Yeah, and completely off topic, but it reminded me, what I just said reminded me, that our daughter Miriam, those of you who know Geminis are often easy conversation. They like to talk, and they'll talk, and they'll talk, and they'll actually switch topics without even telling you, and keep on talking and talking. And I'm always really impressed by that.
You don't have to say anything. Like, why didn't you answer?
You could sit there for an hour, and they'll just one topic after another, keep talking.
Even at 7 a.m.
Yes, and that's completely the opposite. And she always says to me, "Why aren't you saying anything?" And first of all, I said, because
she's not going to like this podcast.
No, she's not going to like. But the point is, first of all, that's not my nature. It's hard for me to, it's not hard for me, but it's not my nature just to sort of talk for a long time. But also, when you're talking with the Gemini often, so you don't have to, butt in.
She's so not going to like that.
Yes.
Next question.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much. This has been great. So I was curious.
Your name?
Oh, sorry. My name is Shelby.
Shelby.
I was curious if the word contentment would come up at all in tonight's discussion. I worked in Denmark for a number of years, and they're notorious for their levels of happiness. But I found living there that their personalities are significantly more subdued and reserved than the extroverted, happy, kind of effusive American. And I realize in my experience that they just have a very different expectation of happiness that they look at as more of contentment. Whereas here, I don't think we're socialized to acknowledge that being content is enough. In fact, if someone just said, I'm fine, it's like, well, what's wrong? You know? So I was just curious if you guys could speak to that. If there's a kind of a social reckoning we all need to have around accepting contentment as more than enough.
Well, the thing is, when I hear contentment, I hear being complacent. I think if they're happy, what it is, I think that they're appreciating where they're at. I think it's a different kind of being complacent can be just, I really appreciate all that is. And that is a funnel, an opening for blessings to come in and to go out and to offer and to receive. So that's what it sounds like to me. I haven't been there. But I think it's tricky if the appreciation aspect isn't there, then it can be just like settling a little bit.
Yeah, I would say the same thing in general, that I think it's hard to, generalize about a whole nation versus us. But I would say I always think about myself. I think about ourselves personally, that yes, we need to appreciate and be content, but actually more content is a weird word, because I believe strongly and experience it that we are meant to be happier every day from the day before. Mm-hmm. So whatever word terminology one uses is fine, as long as that's the experience. Meaning, do I feel more content today than yesterday, or happier today than yesterday? Because one of the, and I often say this, one of my favorite Kabbalistic words is the word endless, which means that our experience of every aspect of our lives, of our relationship, of our personal happiness, is meant to be growing every day. It's not meant to be the same as yesterday, but I'm just as happy as yesterday. I'm actually meant to be happier today. It doesn't mean that I have more things than yesterday, but it does mean that my experience of them today is more powerful, is happier. So for me, that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Because as we said, it's not about attaining more, going somewhere that will make me happier. That's not what it's about. But it certainly is about the fact that I am meant to be feeling better, happier, more content today than yesterday, tomorrow than today. And the way to achieve that is internal, as we spoke about. But that is definitely what our goal needs to be. So whether it's the word we use, contentment, happiness, that's secondary to my actual experience. What is my experience of life? Am I happier today than I was yesterday? Am I seeing how I will be happier tomorrow than today?
It's appreciation, but always desiring more,
right?
More levels of
right. Because thank you. Because appreciation can make me happier today, right? But that's the point. The point is, talk about a relationship. I know that if nothing changes tomorrow from today, I can be happier in our relationship by actually awakening greater appreciation for our relationship. So it's not so much, again, clearly it's not about attaining more, but it's certainly about experiencing more happiness, fulfillment.
Hello.
Hi.
You want to sing a song?
Oh, not tonight.
He's a really good singer, by the way.
I'm not singing tonight.
What's your name?
My name is Bill Lopez. So during the discussion tonight, I thought a lot about, I've been coming to the Kabbalah Center for a long time, and it was very similar to when the center used to have all like these best kept secrets. So they used to have these best kept secrets to like bring people together, and if they wanted to study, and you were talking tonight, you were like, oh, you know what? If I had like $1 million, it's like, oh, it would be great. And then you're like, rushing towards that goal, and you're like, oh, if I had a huge house, if it's, that would be great. So you're like rushing towards that goal. So, when we were talking about it tonight, I was just thinking, it's like, how do you stay focused towards the goals you want to do, but also enjoy them? You know what I mean? So it's like, I get it. It's like all like the successful, the successes that you have in your life aren't going to give you happiness, but like, how do you go for them and still have happiness, like doing them?
So you want to have desire and you want to have goals, but you can't have goal-oriented equals happiness. When I achieve that goal, then I'll be happy. So it's about being happy in each and every moment. I mean, I have a plaque that says, I'm only one workout away from a good mood. And I lived like that for a really long time until I ruptured my tendon. And then it was like, okay, well, where am I going to get my happy on? Right? How is that going to awaken for me? And now it's just like, I'm going to wake up each and every day happy. I'm going to find happiness in all kinds of different ways and each day uniquely. And when I can exercise or dance, I'm going to be even more joyful. It's a flip of a switch. It's a change in consciousness. So you want to have goals, you want to have purpose, you want to have desire, all of that. And that does fulfill us in a way, but your happiness can't be dependent on achieving that because it's never going to satisfy.
You don't want to be dependent on like that
goal.
having. Okay.
Right. And I would only add to that because I think it is a very important point. The fact that desiring to accomplish even something as important as a relationship, of course, there are many important accomplishments, and spiritually we understand that we do not believe in spirituality of going to the top of the mountain and desiring nothing. As a matter of fact, desiring more all the time, but in the proper perspective, as Monica said. Not that I'll be unhappy now for the next 10 years, but when I achieve that goal, then I'll be happy. Rather, I am finding the ways to be appreciative of my current blessings, being happier today than yesterday and happier tomorrow than today. I also have these goals that will also add layers of happiness to the happiness that already exists. I think where we get tripped up sometimes is when we say, okay, I'll be unhappy for the next 5 years, but it's all for the purpose
just
of
like grind it out and then like, okay,
exactly.
As soon as I'll just put my head down, do as much as I can. And then
exactly
at the end, it'll be awesome.
As opposed to saying, no, I'm going to do whatever spiritual work training that I need to be happy every single day of my life and even more every single day while attaining and setting for myself very important goals, whether it's career, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, and all of those. But they will not be the singular determinative sense of my happiness. I will have happiness. I will find a way to achieve happiness at the same time, setting very important goals for myself and achieving them and enjoying them and having even greater layers of happiness, but not as often as what often happens where we say, I understand I'm not going to be happy for the next 3 years, 5 years, whatever that number is. But when that happens, then I'll be happy.
Destination happiness.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes me back to the story of my father because he had plenty of reasons to be happy in all the years when we moved, right? And he never fully could be. Every time we had a good moment, he would talk about, when he makes it, then everything's going to be great. And I remember, I finally was old enough to say, be happy now. I mean, we're here now, enjoy life now. Yeah. But when I have that, when I get to the place, when I get back all the money that I had lost, then I know I'm going to be fully happy. And so he chased that his whole life. And his death was very painful for me because of that. Not because he had passed. He was sick for a very long time. So on some level, he was out of his misery. He didn't want to live like that. But the pain for me was that he was still chasing that until the day he died, that I will be finally happy when I get back everything that I lost, then I can enjoy everything that's today. And he loved his girls, 3 daughters, loved his wife, but he never experienced, he never tasted the happiness because it couldn't be fully actualized until everything was there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We just have one question. We have one question from Facebook, which I think is very important. You mentioned what's going on in Ukraine. You watch the news, and Lynn from Facebook asked, "How do you, when you see what's going on in the world, and when you see especially what's going on in Ukraine, how do you maintain that level of happiness even when there's chaos going on in the world?"
First, is there something that I can do, right? Because just watching the news, for example, and feeling upset does nothing, right? It certainly doesn't do anything for you. It certainly doesn't do. So I think that when we see pain in grand scales, as we're seeing now, or even on a daily basis, the question has to be, what can I do to alleviate that, even in small ways? And unless that's the reason why I allow myself or cause myself to feel the pain, then what's the purpose, right? So I think, and this relates to what we were saying earlier, finding the purpose in any pain that we experience or any pain that we see. Spiritually, we know there's no pain that we experience that we see that is there just for me to see it or even to experience it, but there's something that I need to do. There's ways that either I need to change or, more importantly, actions that I need to take. So when there are great moments of pain in the world, that should drive us to only one thing. What can I do? And it could be something small, it could be something bigger, whatever that action is. But I think it's a lesson, whereas sometimes people, and sometimes you meet people like that where they just want to be upset or just feel pain, whether again it's their own pain or external, even if it's the great pains that unfortunately sometimes come into our world like we're experiencing now. We have to give it purpose. And the way that we give it purpose is by doing something, be it small or great, however way we find. But just to stay in pain doesn't do anybody any good. So I would say this is both, again, for when we experience the pain when we witness pain as we are seeing now, whether we are experiencing pain in our own lives, the singular question has to be, what can I do? What action will this lead me to? What change will this lead me to? Then it has a purpose. Then we give darkness light, then we give pain purpose.
Right. Happiness can't rest in a place of sadness. And I think that we need to feel people's pain, but not be brought down by it. Ask ourselves, what is it that we can do, can offer, that's going to help elevate the situation, change the situation, help. And it's hard because it's confusing. You feel, I'm living here and I'm having happiness in my own way. And then people are in pain and chaos. And right now it's heightened and it's aware, but honestly, people are living in pain and chaos every day of our lives. So it's not just, right now we're seeing it in this big scale, but I think it's a really great reminder that that's the reality of our life every day. And to really ask ourselves, first you have to cultivate and wake up your own joy. And then once you do, okay, how can you then help others and offer that?
Right. But the understanding is that when we see something, it has a purpose and we have to give it purpose. And what that means for every person will be different, but never just to experience pain without it driving either to action or to change or to transformation.